Hello class 10 students, welcome back once again to your biology class. So we have been continuing with the chapter of how do organisms reproduce. Today also we will continue with the same chapter. Now the topic which we will first discuss is cross-pollination. Cross-pollination or allogamy. What happens in this type? The pollen grains from the anther of one flower are transferred to the stigma in a flower of another plant of the same species. And the transfer of the pollen grains from one flower to another flower is achieved by different agents like wind, water or animals. And the cross-pollination occurs in unisexual flower as well as bisexual flowers also. You know unisexual and bisexual flowers, we have discussed about it in our previous class. Now what are the advantages of cross-pollination? First, by cross-pollination, the developed progeny is stronger and more healthier, right? And the seeds formed are of improved type and these are more viable. The seeds store a greater quantity of food substances like carbohydrate, protein and fat. And the fruits which are produced are bigger in size and also are of better quality. Now we will know about the fertilization in plants. Pollination process is complete when pollen from an anther has landed on a stigma. The next step is fertilization. Fertilization, when does it occur? When a male sex cell, that is the male gamete, it produces the pollen grains which fuse with the female sex or the female gamete or the egg which is present in the ovule. Once the pollen grains are deposited on the stigma, they form the tubes which is known as the pollen tube. Okay, this tube grows down the style and reaches the ovary where it enters through a small hole which is known as the micropyle into the ovule. Then it reaches the ovule. The nucleus of the pollen grain, it travels down through the pollen tube and enters the ovule. Here what happens? It combines with the nucleus of the egg cell. Each ovule in an ovary needs to be fertilized by a separate pollen grain. Now formation of fruits and seeds we will know. Before that, I need to tell you that fertilization which shows the pollen tube growth, that diagram you need to practice. You have to practice the diagram and level it. Okay. Now we will know about the formation of seeds and fruits. After the process of fertilization, what happens? The zygote, which is the fertilized egg, it divides many times and it produces a miniature plant which is known as the embryo within the ovule. The ovule develops a very tough coating around it and it gradually gets converted into seeds. Actually what happens, all the eggs in the ovule present in the ovary of a flower get fertilized by the pollen grains and they grow to produce the seeds. The ovary of a flower, it grows rapidly and it ripens to form the fruit inside which the seeds are found. Meanwhile, what happens? The other parts of the flower like the petals, the sepals, stamens, style and stigma, it gets shriveled and falls off while only the ovary is left behind, and this ovary is now called a fruit, right? The biological meaning of a fruit is a fertilized ovary. So we say that the fruit is the fertilized ovary. It is not necessarily edible. It's not that it should always be edible. The fruits may be either dry or soft or juicy. The dry fruits may be in the form of pod you can find in peas, beans, or sometimes it can be found in woody nut form like hazelnut, almond, or in grain form like rice, wheat, etc. The soft and the juicy fruits, it may contain seeds inside a woody skin also, like you can find out in peaches, cherry, or they may have many smaller seeds. You can find in tomato, orange, right? Most fruits are soft, sweet and juicy like the mangoes and oranges. While some fruits may also be hard, dry or woody like peanuts, almonds, etc. Now we will know about the germination of seeds. The seed, it is the reproductive unit of a plant. The seed contains the future plant or embryo which develops into a seedling under appropriate conditions of environment. The seed contains a miniature plant within it which is known as the embryo, and it consists of a root or radicle and a shoot or plumule. The embryo, it is attached to the two leaves called the cotyledon, which are swollen in structure, and they are the stored food. They store the food within themselves. The wheat grain, gram, corn, pea, beans, these are all seeds. The baby plant which is present within a seed is in an inactive stage which is known as the dormant stage. And when the seed gets a suitable condition like availability of water, air, warmth, what happens? It germinates and a new plant grows out of a seed, right? You have to draw the diagram of the parts of a seed and label it. Okay. Next, we will know about the sexual reproduction in animals. In sexual reproduction, what happens? Two mature individuals are involved who are known as the parents. A female parent, which is known as the mother, and a male parent or father. The parents have sex organs, and the sex organs make sex cells which are known as the gametes. The sexual reproduction in animals, it involves the fusion of the gametes, that is the male gamete and the female gamete. The gametes produced by the male are known as sperms, and the sperms are produced in the sex organs which is known as the testes. Okay, and the gametes which are produced by the female are known as the ova or ovum or eggs, you can also say. The eggs are formed in sex organs which is known as the ovaries. During sexual reproduction, what happens? The male gamete or the sperm and the female gamete, which is known as the ovum or the egg, they fuse to give a single cell which is known as the zygote. This process is known as fertilization. So in short, we can say that zygote is the fertilized egg or fertilized ovum. All the multicellular organisms, they start their life from unicellular zygote through the process of sexual reproduction. The zygote develops to form a new offspring, and the stage of development between a zygote and a newly formed offspring is known as embryo. Sexual reproduction shows two patterns of fertilization. First is the external fertilization, second is the internal fertilization. External fertilization occurs in most fishes and many amphibians. Okay, the egg and the sperm, when released in water around the animals, and fertilization takes place there. When fishes are about to reproduce, what happens? The males and the females, they swim closer, and this increases the chances of the sperm cells to reach the eggs, where both the sperm and the ovum are released in the water, and they meet in the water, and the fertilization takes place externally, that is outside the body of the organism. The external fertilization in females, they have to produce a large number of eggs to ensure the process of fertilization. The female common frog, for example, lays up to about 2000 eggs. By laying large number of eggs, the female increases the chances of fertilization. This is necessary why? Because even when the parents are very close together, some of the eggs may drift away in water, and some sperms may swim in the wrong direction due to the flow of water. So as a result, if the number of eggs is more, then wherever they are floating by means of water current, the chances or probability of fertilization is always there, right? Now we will know about the process of internal fertilization. Internal means inside. In this process, what happens? The eggs remain inside the female's body and the sperms are placed inside the body of the female by males. Internal fertilization occurs in insects, reptiles, birds and mammals. In insect, reptiles and mammals, the males are equipped with a tube which delivers the sperm into the female's body. Most birds do not have a tube to deliver the sperm. Instead, the sperm passes from the male to the female bird when the pair press the opening of the reproductive systems together. Okay, and eggs and sperms, they must meet in a fluid environment for the process of fertilization to take place. In internal fertilization, the fluid movement is provided inside the female reproductive system and there is very good chance of fertilization taking place. The animals that rely on internal fertilization for the process of reproduction, they don't need to produce more eggs like the organisms who are exhibiting the process of external fertilization. They can produce few eggs because there is no wastage of sperms and eggs. The sand lizard lays up to only 12 eggs. This is maximum. Okay. So this is all for today. We will continue the remaining portion in our next class. Thank you.